The Senate will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, please call the roll.
Senators Aguilar, Baumgardner, 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 Cook, Coram, Court, Crowder, Donovan, Finberg, Fields, Fields, Garcia, Gardner, Guzman, Hill,
Excused.
Holbert, John, Jones, Kagan, Gafalis, Kerr, Lambert, Lumberg, Marble,
Excused.
Martinez Jimenez,
Excused.
Merrifield, Moreno, Neville, Priola, Scott, Smallwood, Sonnenberg, Tate, Todd, Williams, Zenzinger. Hill, Marble, Martinez, Jimenez. Mr. President.
Here. Morning roll calls, 32 present, 0 absent, 3 excused. We have a quorum. Senator Moreno, please come and lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues and guests, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Approval of the journal, Senator Fields.
Thank you, Mr. President and colleagues. I move the reading of the journal of Tuesday, May 2nd, 2017, to be dispensed with, and that the journal be approved as corrected by the Secretary.
You have heard the motion. Is there any objection? Seeing none, the motion is adopted. Committee reports.
May 2nd, 2017, Committee on Transportation. After consideration on Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 290 be postponed indefinitely. May 2nd, 2017, after consideration of the Committee on Finance, after consideration of Mayor's Committee recommends the following. Senate Bill 303 be amended as follows. As amended, be referred to Committee on Appropriations with favorable recommendation.
Senate Services.
Correctly engrossed, Senate Bill 207 and 299, Senate Joint Resolution 37, correctly re-engrossed, Senate Bill 294, 297, and 298, correctly revised, House Bill 1077, 1087, 1113, 1212, 1250, 1265, and 1291, House Joint Resolution 1018, correctly re-revised, House Bill 1211 and 1292, correctly enrolled, Senate Bill 106, 202, 212, 229, 251, 274, and 278, Senate Joint Resolution 39, and Senate Resolution 4.
Introduction of bills.
Senate Bill 305 by Senators Lumberg and Finberg and Representatives Foote and Neville concerning modifications to select statutory provisions affecting primary elections enacted by voters in the 2016 statewide general election to facilitate the effective implementation of the state's election laws.
State Veterans Military Affairs. Mr. Majority Leader, before you do that, please add Senator Hill to the roll. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate proceed out of order for consideration of a tribute, a moment of personal privilege by the good senator from Fort Collins.
Motion is to proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege and presentation of a tribute. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and we'll proceed out of order. Senator Kafalis.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, colleagues. I request a moment of personal privilege.
Granted.
Thank you, sir. Colleagues, would you give me your attention to honor some students here from Colorado State University as I read this tribute? The Senate of the Colorado Legislature, convened in the first regular session of the 71st General Assembly, hereby extends heartiest congratulations and commendation to the Colorado State University Eco Car 3 team. Today, we honor Colorado State University Eco Car 3 members in recognition of their scholarship, innovation, and dedication to environmental sustainability. Comprised of 6 diverse teams of CSU students, the CSU Eco Car 3 group is tackling challenges in the development of advanced vehicle technologies to address issues of energy efficiency, sustainability, affordability, performance, and safety. CSU Eco Car 3 members look forward to having a safe journey to Detroit and Washington, D.C. next month, where the engineers will demonstrate the success of their hard work. We commend and encourage their demonstrated commitment to responsible technological stewardship, an accomplishment that will undoubtedly inspire and strengthen any future generations of sustainable innovation to come. On request of Senator John Kafalis, given this 3rd day of May 2017, State Capitol of Denver, Colorado, signed by the good Senate President Kevin J. Grantham. Colleagues, would you be kind enough and join me in welcoming these great students? Thank you so much for your attention. Thank you.
Third reading of bills. Consent calendar. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the titles to all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar?
House Bill 1291 by Representatives Arndt, Becker J., and Senator Quorum concerning the ability to store water and alternate place of storage if the historical consumptive use of the water right has already been quantified in previous change to the water right. House Bill 1087 by Representative Young and Senator Lundberg concerning an Office of Public Guardianship.
Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move both the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar consisting of House Bill 1291 and 1087.
Is there any discussion on any of the bills? The motion before the body is the adoption of all the bills on the third reading of bills consent calendar. Are there any no votes on any of the bills? Senator Baumgardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1087.
Senator Baumgardner will be recorded as a no on 1087. Senator Smallwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on House Bill 1087.
Senator Smallwood will be recorded as a no on 1087. Senator Cook.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on 1087.
Did you just call me Mr. Chair? Yeah, I think, don't you double that for fibbing? Senator Cook will be recorded as a no on 1087. Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also like to be recorded as a no vote on 1087.
Senator Holbert will be recorded as a no on 1087. Senator Neville.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a no vote on 1087.
And Senator Neville as well. Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I ask to be a no vote on 1087.
Senator Sonnenberg will be no on 1087. Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wish to be recorded as a yes vote on 1087.
But just once, Senator Jones, just once. Any others? Going once. With, bless you. Senator Crowder.
Mr. President, I'd like to be recorded as a no vote on 1087.
Senator Crowder will be recorded as a no on 1087. With 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, House Bill 1291 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Crowder. With 26 ayes, 7 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, House Bill 1087 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Gardner, Senator Kafalis, Senator Aguilar, Senator Merrifield, Senator Moreno. Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to be added as a co-sponsor to 1291.
Please add Senator Sonnenberg as a co-sponsor on House Bill 1291. Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd also like to be added as a co-sponsor for 1291.
Please add Senator Jones as a co-sponsor on 1291. Any other co-sponsors on 1087? Senator Tate, Senator Court. Please add the President. Senator Scott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Could you please add me as a co-sponsor on 1291?
Please add Senator Scott as a co-sponsor on 1291. Are we all awake yet? We can do this the easy way. Close the machine, Mr. Carpenter. Third reading of bills. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to House Bill 1113.
House Bill 1113 by Representatives Willett and Arndt and Senator Scott concerning electronic participation in committee meetings during the legislative interim.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move to lay over House Bill 1113 one day, Thursday, May 4th.
Motion is to lay over House Bill 1113 until May 4th. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and that will be laid over. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of House Bill 1077.
House Bill 1077 by Representative Valdez and Senator Quorum concerning the Useful Public Service Cash Fund.
Senator Quorum.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1077. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1077? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1077. Are there any no votes? With 33 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, House Bill 1077 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Carpenter. Senator Moreno is a co-sponsor. Minority Leader Guzman. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to House Bill 1212.
House Bill 1212 by Representative Rosenthal and Sias and Senators Gardner and Kagan concerning the creation of an aviation special license plate.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1212 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion? Senator Gardner.
And I, as a matter of legislative intent, want to affirm the good senator and colleague from El Paso County who once flew B-52s, that it is his legislative intent that the B-52 be depicted on the special aviation license plate.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1212? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1212. Are there any no votes? Senator Neville, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator John, Majority Leader Holbert. With 29 ayes, 4 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, House Bill 1212 is adopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Quorum, Senator Lambert, Senator Todd, Senator Williams, Senator Crowder, Senator Kerr. Mr. Carpenter, would you please read the title to House Bill 1250?
House Bill 1250 by Representative Lebsack and Senators Quorum and Donovan, concerning a voluntary contribution designation that benefits wildlife and in connection therewith changing the non-game and endangered wildlife tax checkoff to the Colorado Non-Game Conservation and Wildlife Restoration Tax Checkoff, providing for the allocation of money received through the checkoff, creating a grant program that uses money contributed through the checkoff to finance wildlife rehabilitation efforts, and making an appropriation.
Senator Donovan.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1250 on third and final reading and ask for your aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1250. Are there any no votes? Senator Lambert, Senator Lundberg, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Smallwood, Senator Neville, Majority Leader Holbert, Senator
No,
Tate.
there are no votes.
Please add the president. With 24 ayes, 9 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, House Bill 1250 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Kerr, Senator Fenberg, Senator Merrifield, Senator Fields, Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to House Bill 1265.
House Bill 1265 by Representatives Becker, Kay, and Norberg, and Senators Priola and Kerr, concerning an increase in the total employer contribution for employer in the Judicial Division of the Public Employees Retirement Association.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move House Bill 1265 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion on House Bill 1265? Motion before the body is the adoption of House Bill 1265. Are there any no votes? Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Cook, Senator Neville, Senator Baumgardner, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Smallwood, Senator Lundberg, Senator Lambert, please add the president, and Senator Scott. These are no votes on 1265. With 23 ayes, 10 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, House Bill 1265 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Court. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 299.
Senate Bill 299 by Senator Holbert and Moreno and Representatives Van Winkle and Craptharp, concerning the apportionment of income for state income tax for taxpayers with enterprise data centers in the state.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Bill 299 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 299? Motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 299. Are there any no votes? Senator Court. With 32 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 2 excused, Senate Bill 299 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Smallwood, Senator Lundberg, Senator Tate, Senator Kafalis, Senator Williams, Senator Neville, Senator Hill, Senator Fields, Senator Lambert, Senator Todd. Please add the president. And Senator John. Mr. Carpenter. Please read the title of the Senate Bill 207.
Senate Bill 207 by Senators Kagan and Cook and Representative Salazar and Sides, concerning strengthening Colorado's statewide response to behavioral health crises and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Senators Cook and Kagan.
Thank you, Mr. President.
We move Senate Bill 17207 on third reading and final passage.
Is there any further discussion on Senate Bill 207? Seeing none, the motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Bill 207. Are there any no votes? Senator Neville, Senator Baumgardner, Majority Leader Holbert, Senator Smallwood, Senator Sonnenberg, Senator Crowder, with 27 ayes, 6 noes, 0 absent, 2 excused, Senate Bill 207 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Fields, Senator Kafalas, Senator Garcia, Senator Merrifield, Senator Todd, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Court, Senator Williams, Senator Aguilar, Senator Moreno. I'll add you as a co-sponsor on your own bill, Senator Kagan, if you like. Senator Donovan, Senator Fenberg, Senator Tate, Senator Gardner, please add Senator Martinez-Humenick to the roll. Conference Committee for House Bill 1155. Senators Gardner, Chair, Senators Scott and Fenberg are appointed to the Conference Committee. Senator Tate.
Oh.
Gotcha. General order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the Senate resolve itself and the Committee of the Whole for the consideration of general orders, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
Motion before the body is for the Senate to resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it. The Senate will resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole for consideration of the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar, and Senator Tate will take the chair.
Committee will come to order. Mr. Carpenter, you read the titles to all the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar.
House Bill 1279 by Representatives Garnett and Sane and Senators Tate and Guzman concerning the requirement that a Union Owners Association obtain approval through a vote of union owners before filing a construction defect action. House Bill 1139 by Representatives Landgraf and Michelson Janae and Senators Martinez-Humenick and Kafalas concerning improving Medicaid client protections through effective enforcement of Medicaid provider requirements. House Bill 1274 by Representative Janal and Senator Baumgardner concerning the limited circumstances under which a veterinarian may use a compound pharmaceutical drug for the treatment of an animal patient that is a food animal. House Bill 1252 by Representative Janal and Senator Hill concerning the collection of court costs from persons who are convicted of criminal offenses. House Bill 1330 by Representatives Lee and Wist and Senators Fields and Cook concerning disallowing the use of certain convictions for the purpose of adjudicating a person in the habitual criminal. House Bill 1302 by Representatives Lee and Willett and Senators Gardner and Fields concerning matters related to sexually explicit images of a juvenile in connection therewith, requiring a post-enactment review of the implementation of this act.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move all of the bills on the general order, second reading of bills, consent calendar, consisting of House Bills 1279, 1139, 1274, and the committee report from State Veterans and Military Affairs, 1252, 1330, and 1302.
Is there any discussion on the committee reports? Seeing none, the motion of the body is the adoption of the committee reports for the bills on the general order second reading bills consent calendar. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee reports are adopted. Is there any discussion on any of the bill? Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, in fact, I have a comment on House Bill 1279. Just want to give a shout out and credit to Assistant Majority Leader Alec Garnett and Representative Lori Sane, also Representative Cole Wist, for continuing their efforts on construction litigation reform. They work together. We've seen many bills coming out of the House and Senate over the past few years to try to address this issue, and this is really the first step in the right direction, and those three representatives deserve our recognition and thanks, as well as the sponsors, Senator Tate and the Minority Leader Guzman. I will be happy to pay a fine for giving them that recognition, but those senators who continue to work together on this issue deserve our recognition and thanks, and ask for an aye vote on House Bill 1279.
Thank you so much, Senator, for those remarks. Any further discussion on any of the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar? Senator Zenzinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would just like to add to the previous speaker's comments. It's really important that we move forward on this particular issue. And this may not be a perfect solution, but for the first time in a long time, we have something that's going to actually allow us to take a next step in the process of allowing us to have affordable housing, the first rung on the ladder. And so I too am very supportive of this effort, and I'm really glad that we were able to come together to handle what was one of the most critical issues for my community. So I encourage an aye vote as well.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And members, I rise in support of House Bill 1279. There was a lot of efforts and a bipartisan effort all the way across in both chambers. And this is a difficult issue that we've struggled with for a long time in this legislature. And I just also want to say the commitment to everyone who was involved, including our chair, that we stayed committed. And I think there was the political will to get this done. And we have a step in the right direction. So we ask you to support House Bill 1279.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Cavalis.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll just tag on here briefly. I also rise in support of House Bill 1279. And again, this was an extraordinary bipartisan effort to address an issue that's really important to the entire state. I think there's an interesting and I believe somewhat joyous irony that something that's been so darn contentious is actually on the consent calendar. So it does indicate that we can get the job done, here at the state legislature when the stars are in alignment. Thank you for all the effort.
Thank you so much, Senator. The chair concurs with the remarks made some moments ago. Any further discussion on any of the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar? Seeing none, the motion for the body is the adoption of all the bills on the general order second reading of bills consent calendar. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Thank you. Any members opposed to the motion? Seeing none, the ayes have it, and the bills are adopted. Senator Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I move the committee rise and report.
The motion for the body is to rise and report. All those in favor, please say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it, and the committee will rise and report.
Senate will come back to order. Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. The committee has met and had a number of bills under consideration. Mr. Carpenter, will you please read the report?
Mr. President, your committee of the whole begs leave to report that under consideration of the following attached bills being the second reading thereof makes the following recommendation around House Bill 1279, House Bill 1139, House Bill 1274 is amended, House Bill 1252, House Bill 1330, House Bill 1302 passed on second read order revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for the adoption of the report.
Motion before the body is the adoption of the report to the committee of the whole. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the committee of the whole report is adopted. House Bill 1279, House Bill 1139, House Bill 1274 is amended, House Bill 1252, House Bill 1330, House Bill 1302, passed on second reading and ordered revised and placed on the calendar for third reading and final passage. Consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wonder if we might move to proceed out of order just for a moment, an announcement from a committee chair.
Yes.
Proceed out of order for a moment of personal privilege.
There we go. I think we can just do this. We can inject this. Please, Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick announcement that Senate Bill 296 will be heard in appropriations upon adjournment or upon recess of the Senate, and the meeting will happen here, right here at this microphone and this podium. Senate Bill 296, School Finance Appropriations Committee, upon recess for the Senate.
Very good. Now, consideration of resolutions. Mr. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move Senate Joint Resolution 1741 and ask that it be read at length.
I think I should have him read the title first. Mr. Carpenter.
Senate Joint Resolution 41 by Senator Holbert and Representative Becker Kay concerning the convening date for the 2018 second regular session of the 71st General Assembly.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Now I move Senate Joint Resolution 41 and do ask that it be read at length.
Mr. Carpenter.
Senate Joint Resolution 41 by Senator Holbert and Representative Becker Kay concerning the convening date for the 2018 second regular session of the 71st General Assembly. Whereas Section 22303.5 Colorado Revised Statutes authorizes the General Assembly to designate the convening date for the regular sessions by joint resolution. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Senate of the 71st General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the House of Representatives concurring herein, that pursuant to Section 22303.5 Colorado Revised Statutes, the General Assembly designates Wednesday, January 10th, 2018, as the convening date for the second regular session of the 71st General Assembly.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we did have a choice between Wednesday, January 3rd or Wednesday, January 10th. We thought in the Executive Committee that the 10th made more sense, and just wanted that read aloud so that everyone in here and out there would know. We'll be back here on our first day of the next 120th General Session on Wednesday, January 10th. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any discussion on Senate Joint Resolution 41? Motion before the body is the adoption of Senate Joint Resolution 41. Are there any no votes? Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Joint Resolution 41 is adopted. Co-sponsors: Senator Donovan, Senator Tate, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Priola, Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Garcia, Senator Fields, Senator Kerr, please add the President. Consideration. Do we need to do that again?
It said no bill selected, so I couldn't save it, and then I had to exit, and I had to erase it. I selected the bill. It's my first mistake. You can announce it if you
We need to do the co-sponsors again on Senate Joint Resolution 41. Senator Donovan, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Aguilar, Senator Fields, Senator Priola, Senator Martinez-Humenick, Senator Tate, Senator Moreno, Senator Williams, Senator Todd, Senator Merrifield. Co-sponsors on the Senate Joint Resolution 41, Senator Kerr. Please add the President. Consideration of House amendments to Senate bills. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of Senate Bill 209.
Senate Bill 209 by Senator Priola and Representative Weissman concerning access to the ballot by candidates.
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that we concur with House amendments on Senate Bill 209.
Could you please explain the House amendments briefly?
Yeah, Mr. President. Okay, members, pull out your revised or your re-revised. Both are the same. Page 2, line 17. Technical correction. Deleted language specifying that the DEO must use SCORE to verify residency. The responsibility to verify residency is still maintained, but the language was deleted because the school board directors cannot accomplish this task using SCORE. Instead, they use director district maps at the county GIS. Then, page 3, lines 2 and 4, changed candidate petition window from the first Monday in January, last Friday, to the to the last Friday in February, to the third Tuesday in January through the third Tuesday in March. This is still roughly the same amount of time. It gives the Secretary of State an extra 2 weeks for petition review. The introduced version was an extra month. The extra time will still be very helpful in the timely completion of petition reviews. Then, on page 30, technical correction, the introduced version of the bill spoke to vacancies in the office of Lieutenant Governor. The amendment changes the language to address vacancies in candidacy for Lieutenant Governor. This was a drafting oversight. Then also final page 32, line 23, conforming amendment. With that, I ask for an aye vote.
That was almost briefly. Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a question for the bill sponsor. And members, you might be interested on a bipartisan basis in this. It says any vacancy, well, what the language is struck is if you appoint a lieutenant governor, they have to be of the same political party. We struck that language. So this, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, will say a governor can appoint anybody they want from any political party, even after the voters sent the two people from the same political party to hold those offices. Is that correct?
Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. The good senator from Boulder County, I believe it is. So if you remember, the lieutenant governor and governors were not linked as far as the elections many years ago, so we're striking the old language on page 30, line 20, 21, 22. That would assume that a political party nominee for governor would not want their lieutenant governor that they appoint to be of the same party. So I think it's fine. Again, this is the portion of the amendment that changed it, the drafting error that changed it from office to candidate. Ask for an aye vote.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, I think that answer made it clear that if a lieutenant governor leaves office, the governor can appoint anybody they want, and they don't have to be from the same political party. And it used to be, and who knows when this language was put in here, this being struck, but it used to be they would run individually. That created all sorts of issues. And now, and so then they ran as a slate, as a party, and you elected them as a party. Now we're saying the voters' will to elect as a party doesn't matter that much. The governor can do what they want instead of having the same person from the same political party. If I were to throw this out in a Democratic state central committee meeting, they would hate this. I think the same would be true if you did that at the Republican state central committee. They believe that if you elect somebody from their party, they should appoint somebody from their party. So I'm asking for a no vote. I don't think this is a partisan issue. I think this is what the public told. This is how the public voted, and a governor could circumvent that. So I ask for a no vote. I'm not going to make a motion to go to conference, but that would be the logical thing. If you agree with me, vote no to take care of this technicality. The rest of the bill's fine.
We'll be in a senatorial 5. Senate will come back to order.
Let's do what they've done in the past and say the same political party.
The motion before us is concurrence with House amendments to Senate Bill 209. Is there any further discussion? Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, let's be clear. This is about the nomination and the election process, not the actual vacancy of the office. So under the good senator from Boulder County's assumption, someone running for governor would nominate someone of the same party, and for some reason, that nominee would have to step down before the election, and that same governor would then choose to go pick someone from another party to run with them for the general election of the opposite party. I don't think that's going to happen. I'm fine with the current wording. Ask for an aye vote on concurrence.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. I asked for a no vote so then we can ask for this to go to conference committee to iron this out. Members, yeah, it's not likely to happen, but this is a party nomination. It should be of the same party. That's what the people who passed this thing in the first place said. That's the language that's being struck, of a lieutenant governor of the same political party as the governor. Yes, not likely to happen, but it can happen. We should say, if you're going to be nominated by the Republican Party, if you're going to be nominated by the Democratic Party, you should be from that party. And to me, this is a bipartisan issue and an easy fix. And so a no vote would just send it to conference committee to fix this, then we'd pass the bill. I'm fine with the rest of the bill. They did good work. This is a bad idea. I ask for a no vote.
Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, I do understand the concern expressed by the good senator from Louisville. However, having worked through campaigns many times through my life, I recall that a candidate for governor selects his or her running mate, their lieutenant governor candidate. It's entirely up to that candidate for governor to make that decision before this step in the process. Our current governor selected a lieutenant governor to run with him. And that was his choice, which is okay. And then recently, our lieutenant governor resigned. Who selected the person to replace the lieutenant governor? The governor. The governor selected his running mate before they were elected, and when that lieutenant governor resigned, the governor selected the new lieutenant governor, though that person did have to come through the confirmation process here in the Senate. So in this gap in between, as that person is either running for the first time for governor or as an incumbent for governor with term limits, they can do this twice. During that campaign process, I assume between caucus and assembly and a primary date, that person has been selected by his or her party to be the candidate for governor. And then during that campaign process, before Election Day in November, something happens. And the person for standing for lieutenant governor of that party gets sick, passes away, decides he or she doesn't want to do this, whatever. And that's the time frame that we're talking about. Should the party then come together and have a formal process for selecting a replacement, or during this process, caucus, assembly, party primary in June, and general election in November, should we allow the candidate for governor who has already been selected by his or her party to decide who that running mate will be? That's where the bill is right now. And the specific issue is, should the governor be required to select a new running mate for lieutenant governor of the same party? Right now, I can't imagine. I think the good senator from Louisville has pointed to this. I can't imagine why a candidate for governor would select outside of his or her party, but that was his or her choice before this point, and it's his or her choice after this point. So I do not have an issue with where the bill is right now. I just want to make sure that everyone was clear that this is not a question of replacing the lieutenant governor once he or she is in office. This is in the process of electing between caucus and the general election. That person has been identified probably after the party assembly or after the primary, and that's the time frame leading up to November that we're talking about. The timelines during that process can be very short. My successor in the House won his primary and resigned, and we had a vacancy election during that process to select a new candidate. But in this case, it isn't just a single candidate for office, it's the governor who gets to select his or her lieutenant governor candidate before this and after this, and I think we should allow him or her to do that at this point in the stage 2. If he or she decides to select outside of the party, I don't understand why they would, but I don't see a reason that we should bind his or her hands, limit their choice to making that decision within the party.
Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, members, the analogy that was just used said that if, like currently, when the lieutenant governor left, the governor selected a person of their choice, but they had to be of the same political party. This strikes that requirement if they're nominating. And it doesn't say where it is in this vacating process. I want you to picture a few people that help you that are part of your party, Republican or Democrat. And I want you to ask them, if somebody created a vacancy, the lieutenant governor, for whatever reason, could not go forward, do you think that that person should be of the same political party? Just think about it. What would they tell you? It'd be absolutely. What are you talking about? Of course. This says it doesn't have to be that way. So when you go talk to those folks, when you go back home and you talk to them about, whatever, tell them that you did this and see what their reaction will be. I'll tell you, in my case, it wouldn't be a positive thing. And so I just think we should keep the language that was there before of the same political party, which we're striking. I mean, this body made this decision before, and we're saying, no, you can do anybody now. So I ask for a no vote.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. The concern here, I think we're still covered in statute, folks. Title I, Section 4-502 still limits the qualifications of lieutenant governor and candidates for lieutenant governor. No person shall be eligible for a major political party nomination for lieutenant governor unless such person is a registered elector and has been affiliated with the major political party making the nomination, as shown in the record books, et cetera, et cetera. We're still limited within statute to the same political party. That does not change with this bill. This is not a concern given current statute and statute that is remaining in Title I, Section 4-502. We are still covered in statute for this nomination and this office for lieutenant governor.
Senator Jones.
Mr. President, well, if that's the case, why put this language in and confuse everybody? It's an easy thing to do a conference committee. We should fix this. We should have it be parallel with the language the Senate President just said. Let's not make people look for a different section when they're looking at this issue. I ask for a no vote.
Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. Confusing the issue, I get it. Wanting to confuse this, the fact of the matter is statute already covers this and takes care of it, and there is no confusion here. Statute covers this. Bills all the time clean up language and make things less confusing. When you have all the statute and you're not reading just what's within the pages of a bill, it's not confusing. Statute is very clear. It covers this. It has to be of the same party. It was that way before. It is that way after.
The question before us is the motion to concur with House amendments to Senate Bill 209. Are there any no votes? Senator Jones. Senator Aguilar. With 32 ayes, I'm sorry, Senator Kagan. Any other no votes? With 31 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the motion for concurrence for 209 is adopted. Senator Priel.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for repassage of Senate Bill 209.
Seeing no further discussion, the question before us is the adoption, the repassage of Senate Bill 209. Are there any no votes? Senator Jones, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Aguilar. With 31 ayes, 3 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 209 is readopted. Co-sponsors. Senator Crowder. President Grantham. Please add the president.
Consideration of governor's vetoes. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title to Senate Bill 139.
Senate Bill 139 by Senator Hill and Williams and Representative Pabon concerning the extension of that credit for tobacco products that a distributor ships or transports to an out-of-state consumer.
Senator Hill.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move that Senate Bill 17139 become law, notwithstanding the governor's veto, and would appreciate a chance to explain what we're doing here.
Please do.
Thanks, Mr. President. Colleagues, this is a bill that came out of here on final passage 29-6. And I think there's just been a little bit of there's great support both in the House and the Senate. I think there's been a little bit of confusion exactly what we're doing here. In Colorado, when voters passed Amendment 35, we put a 40% tax on top of premium cigars. So that means when the way that's collected, colleagues, is when when one of our local stores buys that cigar. Not when they sell it, the way we do in the rest of sales tax. When they buy it, they have to remit a $4 tax to the state government. Now, whether they sell that to a consumer a day from then or a year from then, it doesn't change when they've remitted that tax. However, if they send it, if they mail it to, if they ship it to a service member overseas, or they want to compete with some of our online companies, they still have to remit that $4 tax, plus they have to pay tax on wherever they're shipping it to. So we've created a system where we double tax this. 2 years ago, we ran a bill to fix this. As a result, we brought a Colorado company that had moved out of state because of this double taxation back into the state. We brought about 12 jobs back here as a way to compete with some out-of-state business. This represents Colorado jobs. And so after we've put this in place now to get rid of it, a couple years later, it's sadly to me, it's this example of government whipsawing policy and really changing both the company and the confidence they have in investing here in Colorado, as well as those workers who have upended their families twice now. I believe, Mr. President and colleagues, it's time for us to give them some stability and predictability and acknowledge that this is one of those examples where we actually have policy that has worked, that doesn't cost the taxpayer a penny, and brings great reward to the taxpayer in terms of jobs and expanded economy here. Ask for your support.
The motion is that Senate Bill 139 become law notwithstanding the governor's veto. Is there any discussion on that motion? Are there any? This does require a 2/3 vote to override a veto. Are there any no votes on the motion? Senator Fenberg. Minority Leader Guzman, Senator Merrifield, Senator Garcia, Senator Kafalis, Senator Fields, Senator Zenzinger, Senator Jones, Senator Donovan, Senator Moreno, Senator Kagan, Senator Court, Senator Kerr, Senator Fenberg, I have you, Senator John, Senator Todd, Senator Aguilar, Senator Williams, with a vote of 17 ayes, 17 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, that motion fails. Consideration of conference committee reports. Mr. Carpenter, please read the title of the Senate Bill 254.
Senate Bill 254 by Senator Lambert and Representative Hamner, concerning the provision for payment of the expense of the executive, legislative, and judicial departments of the state of Colorado and of its agencies and institutions for and during the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017, except as otherwise noted.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move the first report of the first conference committee on Senate Bill 254.
Is there any discussion? The motion is for the adoption of the first report of the first conference committee on Senate Bill 254. Are there any no votes? With 34 ayes, 0 noes, 0 absent, 1 excused, the first report of the first conference committee on Senate Bill 254 is adopted. Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for repassage of Senate Bill 254.
The motion is for the readoption of Senate Bill 254. Are there any no votes? Is there any discussion? We are already in the middle of the vote. Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, members, I have reservations and had reservations about the process in the conference committee report. I did vote in favor of the conference committee report and will vote for the repassage of the long bill. I am disappointed that we have allowed a concern about the tying of our legislative salaries to judicial salaries to interfere with an appropriate and originally JBC recommended pay raise for the judicial department. I am concerned that we are leaving rural hospitals in the lurch and that it may cause, in the interim, some of them to close. But as I said when the long bill was first considered on the floor in this chamber, it is not a perfect document. It is not a moral document. It is hundreds of decisions about limited resources. And so with that, recognizing its imperfection, I nevertheless will be an aye vote.
Senator Lambert.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to address the issue of judicial salaries. When we first heard this, the actual request is a 2-year request that we can only do 1 year at a time because we can only appropriate in the long bill 1 year at a time. The 3.15% then was actually a request of half of a 6.3% 2-year request from the judiciary based upon actually what I think were very sound studies by the judiciary. But the fact is, although I believe the members of the Budget Committee were unanimously in favor of that increase, when we got it through both houses of the House and the Senate, there were amendments that took that money out of the long bill. We actually had some discussions within the Joint Budget Committee whether it would be prudent to go ahead and put that money back in after both houses had voted it out. But we decided, just in respect for both houses and the votes of all the members of both houses that voted to take that money out, that we would leave it out in the conference committee. There are still perhaps remedies in the future to do this. This is a 2-year fix for the judiciary. I think the request in some form will come back next year, or may even, with some permission, if we have more information and we have general agreement from our respective caucuses in both houses, maybe we can address this issue more quickly. The fact is, in respect to our long bill process, when each house takes that money out, we listen to that process and have tried to accommodate the opinions and the votes of all the members of the General Assembly, and that's the rationale why we went back to the base. They are still getting the 2.5% increase that all state workers were afforded in the long bill. However, the additional increase for salaries is currently not in this version, but I would still ask for an aye vote. I think it's an issue that is still going to be addressed in the future, but it won't be in this bill. Thank you.
Senator Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, what I understand after all of that and my long experience here in the General Assembly is the Joint Budget Committee accommodates both houses with their desires until it doesn't. Nevertheless, I'm an aye vote.
Senator Crowder.
Thank you, Mr. President. I will also be an aye vote on this, but I do believe that we still have this hospital provider fee that we need to contend with. And, I understand our Constitution needs to be satisfied with a balanced budget. And the reality is where we're at right now, there is no other place to take the money to balance that budget. I get that. But I will also add that we have hope that we can come to a resolution on this, that both sides can come together, because what's at stake is our rural hospitals. And I realize that, and I think everybody else should realize that. But this is more about, the reality is we're looking at 1/5 of our economy in the state, as well as a tremendous amount of jobs and, the access to health care in rural Colorado. So, I do have hopes that between now and sin dying that we can come to a conclusion. And I know people are working on this, and I'm personally counting on some kind of resolve of this. But thank you very much. But until that point, I will be an aye vote on this.
Senator Moreno.
Thank you, Mr. President. And colleagues, this budget isn't a perfect product. The Joint Budget Committee has been very clear about that all along. But for all the faults in this budget, for most of those faults, there are other solutions or remedies, many of which are currently under consideration by this General Assembly. So colleagues, I'll just take the opportunity to say, although this is not a perfect product, I sincerely hope that we muster the political courage to fix what's wrong in this budget, to make sure that hospitals, rural hospitals, don't close, to make sure that hardworking judges get the pay that they deserve. So I hope, colleagues, that those other measures will be successful, and that we come together and we figure out a solution to the state's biggest problems. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? The motion is for the repassage of Senate Bill 254. Are there any no votes? Senator Hill. With 33 ayes, 1 no, 0 absent, 1 excused, Senate Bill 254 is readopted. Co-sponsors, Senator Holbert, Senator Tate, Senator Garcia, Announcements. Senator Priola.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, members, if you need a little time to relax this afternoon after a hard debate on the floor, the Colorado Coalition of Massage Therapists are here today, Old Supreme Court, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Get over there and see if they can work the kinks out.
Senator Koufalos.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, a flyer was placed on your desk regarding the CSU mechanical engineering students who we honored earlier. At noon, for those of us who are available, they will be in SCR 354, and it would be an opportunity to interact with these fine students to learn more about their EcoCar 3's latest innovations in developing a hybrid electric Chevy Camaro, to ask questions around sustainability and energy efficiency, and to certainly congratulate these hardworking engineers who will be heading to Detroit and D.C. in the coming month. Thank you, colleagues.
Senator Sonnenberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee, we are going to add Senate Bill 305 to the end of the calendar date. Senate 305 will be heard in State Affairs at the end of the calendar.
Senator Tate.
Thank you, Mr. President. Although things are calming down in Senate Business and Labor, we do have one item today that'll take a few minutes. We have a confirmation. It's at 2 o'clock.
Senator Lundberg.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members of Appropriations Committee, don't forget, right here, right upon recess of the Senate, Senate Bill 296 will be considered.
Any further announcements? Majority Leader Holbert.
Thank you, Mr. President. Members, we are going to recess so that appropriations can meet in the well. When Appropriations has completed their meeting, then we will come back into session, or to order, and then we will recess until this afternoon. We may have bills to read over. You're welcome to stay and witness the Appropriations Committee meeting if you wish, but we will not have business once that meeting ends. We'll just come back to order, and then I'll recess it until later this afternoon. And then later this afternoon, we may have bills coming over from the House, but you do not need to be here. Just so you understand the process that we're going to go through here over the next few minutes. Mr. President, I move that the Senate recess until 10:40 a.m. today. Really, you think? All right. Mr. President, I withdraw that motion and move that the Senate stand in recess until 10:30 a.m. today. I've been asked to read this to you. The Senate will grant leave pursuant to Senate Rule 21C for the Committee on Appropriations to meet in the well of the Senate. Mr. President, I move that we stand in recess now so that appropriations can meet until 10:30 a.m. today.
Motion is for the Senate to stand in recess until 10:30 a.m. today. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, no. Ayes have it, and we will stand in recess.